So I'm going to flash back to Sunday because that's when really this whole thing kind of kicked off, but it really led to a lot of the events last night. But on Sunday, we had a man, a victim, loaned his vehicle to the suspect, Jarius Swift Eagle. That vehicle is a GMC Envoy SUV. Initially, he thought it was just going to be for a short time, and then Jarius never returned the vehicle. So last night, about 6:15, our victim happened to be outside near 11th and Duluth, and he saw his vehicle, and he saw Jarius driving it. And he kind of yelled at Jarius and said that he wanted his vehicle back. The vehicle, the Envoy, kind of drove around a little bit and basically circled back to where the victim was. Jarius rolled down the window, pointed a gun at the victim, and basically made some comment that he was going to keep it, and then took off at a high rate of speed. About 8:15 p.m., we had another guy, another victim. This is a 19-year-old man. He was putting air in his truck tires at the gas station at 12th and Grange. He had the driver's door open while he was doing that, and then he happened to notice the suspect had just, I guess, got into his truck and was sitting in the driver's seat. There was some conversation between the two of them. The suspect, which is Jarius, made a comment that he was going to be taking the truck. The victim said no, he wouldn't. The suspect then pulled out a pocket knife or some type of knife, started threatening the victim with it. The victim was backing away. They were still arguing whether or not he was going to take the truck, and the Envoy was in the parking lot. We had a woman that was driving that Envoy. She started driving it at our second victim, trying to hit him. So in the process of all this going on, he was still trying to avoid Jarius, who had the knife. The victim's hand ended up getting cut. It could have been at least 2 times that the woman tried to hit the second victim, but he was able to get out of the way. At some point, Jarius jumped into the passenger seat, and then the Envoy took off, again, at a high rate of speed. So we had some information on that. We had an officer that saw that Envoy driving at a high rate of speed in the neighborhood. It would have been a little bit northeast of there. He wasn't able to catch up to it. There wasn't any type of pursuit or anything because there was already quite a bit of distance. About 8:30, somewhere in that time frame, Highway Patrol saw this Envoy driving, and they got into a pursuit with it. That Envoy crashed near 9th Street and Western Avenue, and there's a railroad crossing. It ended up hitting one of the poles. The 2 people, the man and the woman, got out of that and took off running. They ran into a house nearby, so it was near 10th and Western. It was in the 100 block of Southwestern Avenue. There were 2 women inside the house at the time. One of them was a 63-year-old. One of them was a 39-year-old. Neither of them knew these people. They went outside, told police that this man and woman, Jarius, and then this other woman had ran into their home. And it was I guess they were under the impression that they were still in the house, and so they had set up a perimeter. Eventually, SWAT was called out, and they went through the house and found that nobody was inside there. So at some point, they were able to get out. It probably happened rather quickly, but I guess we just didn't know at that point in time. So last night, the press release was issued. We knew who Jarius was. This morning, a warrant was issued for his arrest. The warrant is for 1 count of attempted robbery, 2 counts of aggravated assault, 1 count of attempted grand theft. That warrant has a $100,000 cash bond. And at this point, we don't know where Jarius is. We don't know who the woman is that was with him, but obviously we're working to try to figure out who she is and identify her, but she'll likely face some type of charges as well.
Okay, so stabbing was really just guy got cut in the hand.
He was cut in the hand, yeah. That was the stabbing part.
And the ladies in the house were never injured or really in much danger beside the moment that they...
Right, yeah, so the ladies, these 2 came into the house and basically started running through the house. They saw that, and they didn't want any part of it, and so they ran outside and saw the highway patrolman and started talking to him that these people were in the house. So they weren't threatened, they weren't injured at all, but there's likely going to be other charges that will be coming, but We've got the warrant out for these main charges.
When, do you know when the all clear was?
When everything was all done,
Yeah, because it was a few hours.
yeah, they were out there for quite a few hours. Let me see if I can find when they cleared. It looks like probably 2:30 or 3 a.m., I think is when everything was done.
And it began basically 8:30-ish, from 8:30 to 2:30 to houses.
Well, yeah, so they, yeah, maybe around 10:30-ish. Well, it would have been before that, because they would, that was when I think SWAT probably got there. Because they were in the house probably right around,
That
8.
stabbing occurred at 8:30-ish.
The stabbing was about 8:15,
Yeah,
and then the pursuit was closer to 8:30.
and I'm basing it off a text I got from someone that's looking
Sure.
at the scanner, and it was at 8:38, they had mentioned the standoff.
Yeah, and that's,
That's fine.
yeah, the foot pursuit, so after they crashed and then they took off running, that was right at 8:35.
Sure.
And so it was just probably a couple of minutes after that, 2 or 3 minutes after that, that they went into the house.
Is there any evidence recovered in the house, like a blade or anything like that?
There was, I think there was a knife that was found in the car. I don't know if it was the knife that was used in this. There was no guns, no gun was found in the car, and I don't think there was anything, I didn't hear of anything that was found inside the house, so I don't think they left anything behind.
I saw lots of resources out there, besides the, I guess, well, we had one highway patrol. We had all your bells and whistles going. A lot of resource and a talented team you have working for the Sioux Falls Police Department.
Yeah, well, this is one of the reasons that we have SWAT is, obviously we had a situation where these people went into the house and we didn't know if they were there or not. He had pointed a gun at one person, cut another person with a knife, and so it didn't, and then he was in a pursuit. So it's not like he was just gonna all of a sudden just turn around and say, hey, everything's good, and so it's more of a precautionary measure. So the SWAT team shows up, and yeah, there's a lot of different people involved, a lot of different pieces of equipment, and that's really designed to keep everybody safe. So it's not just the officers that are there looking for them, it's also the people, maybe neighbors that are around, and we didn't know if there's anybody else inside the house or not. So the people, when they run out, said that they were the only ones there, but we always have to take precautions. And so a lot of what they do is just designed to make sure that everybody's safe and that nobody gets hurt, and that includes the suspects.
So where we stand today is we have a potentially armed and dangerous individual, which we're trying to find.
Right, yeah, and we don't want people to try to approach him. The press release that was sent out had a picture of him. If people see him, if they know where he's at, we want them to call police. We don't want people getting involved, and he's already done this. And we've got 3 victims that are complete strangers and have no connection to him whatsoever, and so we don't want anybody getting hurt with this. If they see him, if they know where he's at, just call police and then let officers handle it from there.